Hey, I'm Chris Lanzon and I'm here chatting with Milky.
I wanted forever, but you told me you'd never go. And I'm tracing the outline of my memories framed in gold. And I'm watching the sunset.
So music has always been a pretty big part of my life. Growing up, my family was always pretty musical. My dad was always jamming around the house and mum was always playing her favourite records, and it was always something that I was drawn to and really enjoyed. And then as I got older, I started doing some piano lessons at school, and then just like dad taught me a little bit of guitar, and eventually when I was around 10 years old I started busking down at the local beach, just to like get used to performing and getting out there. It was just something I really wanted to do, and that eventually led to me just doing more and more gigging and stuff as I was getting older, and eventually I did some music competitions and stuff, which kind of brought me into the music industry a little bit, and from there it was just huge learning experiences, and just growing as a person and growing my audience, and yeah, just lots of really cool things through my teen years. And then eventually it got to a point where I kind of wanted to take a step back and just do my really get to kind of understand where I was at and the kind of music I wanted to make, because through that whole experience I was still like growing up. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. I've just kind of started releasing my own original music for the first time. So New York Falling Apart was a pretty interesting writing process. I wrote it with a friend of mine who's based in LA, and I met him last year. His name is Franco, and we didn't actually write it together over there. We wrote it this year through the lockdown over the internet, so it was an interesting process trying to write a song when you're not actually there with the person. And conceptually it's kind of about like reflecting on like a past relationship and trying to kind of salvage that, and like likening that to this desire to stay in New York, which is a city that I visited last year very briefly, but I really loved the energy there, and I kind of wanted to tie in this like feeling of, you know, it was a beautiful place but I can't actually stay there forever, and especially now with the pandemic I can probably not go back there for a long time. So that was kind of the direction for the song. There will be a music video for the song. I'm working on that. I haven't started shooting yet, but I've got the idea in my head. I want to film bits of it in the city to kind of get that city feel. And I also have a couple other ideas. I want to do this one shot where I'm kind of standing out the roof of a car and the camera's like mounted onto the car. But I don't know how legal that is, so we're going to try and see if we can work that out. Doing music competitions at a really young age was a very eye-opening experience. Everything is kind of super like fast-tracked and very quick, and that whole experience was just a super fast learning process, and yeah, I'm grateful for those experiences, but at the same time I was so naive going into them that it was very I don't know, it was just like I didn't really know what I was doing, but I'm grateful for the learnings along the way. Yeah, so I arrived at the current sound that I'm at really just through heaps of trial and error and experimenting. Getting to the process of making my first EP was, I probably wrote about 50 songs just to get to those songs, and across like a bunch of different genres and styles, and it really just got to a point where there was this through thread of like this certain type of music that I was making kind of unintentionally. Like I would set out to maybe make something with a certain sound, but I'd end up with something else, and then I was like, okay, there's this like common thing going on here where this seems to be what I'm naturally kind of doing, so let's roll with that. And I've kind of just been trusting my instincts with the sound that it is. I'm pretty happy with where it's going right now. The process is, I guess in some ways it's similar each time, but it's also vastly different. Like, for example, this one was written over the internet, so that was a new experience. But usually the ideas just start in this room. I'll have my guitars on my keyboard, and then I like to produce everything in Logic, and I usually produce as I go to kind of get a rough sketch of how it will actually sound. So yeah, that's the process. I just kind of throw around different ideas and see what I'm feeling, and then write lyrics or melodies or whatever's needed. Writing and producing my own stuff was always super important for me, because just growing up generally, I always had an interest in production and layering things, whether that was in music or video or all these different things that I just always loved piecing things together in that way. So it kind of became a necessity when I started writing my own music and just really wanting to experiment, because I didn't have the money to pay for a studio to go in and like work with producers and everything. It was kind of just like, well, why don't I set it up myself and just see what I can do. I didn't know if I would be good enough to do it myself, but I kept at it, and I'm pretty proud of where things have gone with it. So I think it's a cool thing, and I would recommend for any artist to at least try and get a basic understanding of how to record, because it's so accessible, I think, these days to record yourself at home. And it's a cool thing to be able to get your ideas out and hear them as you imagine. Creating music through the pandemic was it was an interesting process. It kind of had its ups and downs. I think like having so much time to work on things was a good thing and also a bad thing, because the goodness of it was that you'd had all this time, but the bad things was that it would often kill my creativity a little bit, because I feel like I need to be somewhat stimulated to feel inspired, just by living, like going outside and being around people. So being in this room all the time could kind of kill that vibe sometimes. But I think that was also that kind of, those feelings could then be reflected in the music, and music was a way of staying sane through it all. I hope that people, when they listen to the new song and all my music, can really just relate to their own experiences in their own life. I write usually from a very personal place of just wanting to take anything I'm feeling at the time or things that I've experienced and put them into like a thing that they can then just be let go of. And in doing that, I hope that people can kind of find those things and hold on to them, and then go through their own healing process while listening to the music. So that's really all I hope for, is that they can connect to it. So the first headline show, it's pretty crazy. I didn't expect to be doing it this soon, especially with the pandemic. So it's been, I've been preparing for it. I don't have a band or anything, and I produce everything myself, so I'm trying to just kind of translate everything that I've made in this room to a live setting. And it's going to be all tables and seated, so people won't be getting up and dancing as much, so I can kind of play into the whole intimate vibe that will be there. So I'm just keeping things fairly stripped back and just fairly how I imagined the songs to be when I wrote them. I don't have any major post-pandemic touring plans, but I mean, it's hard to tell where the future's going to go at this point. I definitely would love to do a tour. That's on the horizon for sure. Just when we can do that, I don't know. But yeah, hopefully soon. So next for me, this new song is the second single from my upcoming EP. So I've got another EP in the works. That'll be 6 or 7 or 8 songs long. I don't really know yet. I'm trying to decide on the track list, but my main focus now over the next couple of months, just Christmas and New Year's, is to finish that off, and I'd like to get it out early next year. So that's next for me.
I wanted forever, but you told me you'd never go. And I'm tracing the outline of my memories framed in gold. And I'm watching the sunset before the year went cold, chasing the light of an empty glow. And
right now, Jeremy Zucker, Phoebe Bridgers, Bon Iver.
Going 7-5 down there.
One of those three, same people. Phoebe Bridgers' Punisher lately. This is like just me fanning out about Phoebe Bridgers now, but probably I Know the End by Phoebe Bridgers. I don't know, probably a Chris Nolan movie, maybe like Interstellar or something. Miley Cyrus. The 1975. Man, probably Bon Iver in New York last year. Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know if it's guilty pleasure, but like Dua Lipa, she's great. Just pure pop music. Yeah. Don't know. One Direction, I guess. Left. Jeremy Zucker. Yeah, I was thinking like John Lennon or something, like the Beatles. But now, I don't really know. I guess anyone who's like fighting for their independence, like independent music. I think recently I saw some stuff about Taylor Swift kind of taking a stand against like the major labels and stuff, so that's pretty influential, I guess. I guess just like keep going, have patience, and yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. It's hard to say. I think like I can't really remember the exact moment, but growing up, like being surrounded by it, it was always just something I wanted to do.